When it comes to online conventions, not many do it better than VidCon. For over 15 years, Anaheim, California has seen a wave of YouTubers flying in to meet their fans and each other. For many content creators, it's the summer event of the year, and it remains unchallenged as competition from TwitchCon and Playlist Live has drowned in controversy. But instead of challenges from other websites, what about challenges from their own? In rare cases, a few YouTubers have tried to either rival or emulate VidCon's success, making a new project around their own ideas and how they'd run it. It's not a bad idea in theory. In fact, VidCon itself was started by YouTubers, yet these new conventions usually turn into failures and disasters, each for very different reasons. When you clicked on this video, TanaCon was probably the first event within this category to come to mind, and it makes sense. It was the first of its kind, Tana Mongeau has her name on it, and the event was a major disaster. But how did it come about in the first place? During 2017, Tana Mongeau was one of the most known YouTubers for various reasons. Her storytime videos gained her a lot of love from her huge teenage girl fanbase, but her use of racial slurs and old clips drew the eye of others for different reasons. Both of these aspects led to the creation of her own convention, as both brought issues when she was at VidCon. In 2016 and 2017, Tana came to Anaheim, yet VidCon denied her the featured creator status. This is a pass for big YouTubers that would give them access to private areas and experiences, and this denial was an issue because she would regularly get mobbed by her fans, and couldn't make her way back to her room due to not having access to certain doors. Even when she got mobbed, she said that VidCon still blamed her for being a risk to the event just for being there. Tana was part of YouTube's original series, Escape the Night, and out of all the members of the cast, she was the only one not given the featured creator role. VidCon later confirmed they were keeping her at distance because of her history of slurs, something she had already apologized for. Tana would not take this lying down, and posted an hour-long rant to YouTube about her experiences at VidCon. She even name-dropped specific employees and announced pretty plainly, VidCon! It was during this video that she dropped a joke idea to make her own event. Yet her fans loved this more than she ever thought, and soon a spam of #TanaCon was flooding her feed. What was meant to be just a throwaway line turned into a real project, when one of Tana's friends reached out and urged her to go forward. That friend was Michael Weist, a known influencer manager and CEO of his own company, Good Times Entertainment. Pretty soon, they would be running the whole show. TanaCon was announced on Twitter, and Tana's fans were completely ecstatic for this whole event. It was billed as the convention for the people. There were going to be no opinionated selections. Everyone would be a featured creator. The event was being held in Anaheim at the Marriott Suites, not too far from VidCon and set to happen on the same dates. And all of your favourite creators were going to be there, like Tana, Emma Chamberlain, Shane Dawson, Gabby Hanna, The Vlog Squad, and Adam22. Within 2 minutes, the free tickets for TanaCon sold out, which stunned Tana. For everyone else, there was a $40 pass to get in. And if you wanted to spend a little more, there was the $65 VIP option. This let you skip the line, get a goodie bag, and personally meet and greet your favourite creators. Even looking from the outside, it's understandable why people had faith in TanaCon. Michael Weist wasn't a stranger to conventions. He'd worked with Playlist Live, and even hosted his own small-scale event in Chicago called Good Times Live. Things seemed to be going smoothly. June 22nd, day one of TanaCon begins, and it's already off to a shaky start. The event began with the registration of everyone coming in. The official website said this would be between 6 and 8 AM. In reality, it doesn't start until 8:45. It became immediately apparent that the event was starting to fill up pretty quickly. The organisers quickly ran out of free ticket badges, so just started handing out VIP badges without verifying them.
Quick question, have you seen anyone with like a regular free badge? Everyone's had VIP that I've spoken to. Do you guys have VIP?
We actually paid for VIP.
Yeah, me too.
And
okay.
they had the badge, all the badges were VIP.
Exactly. So to my knowledge, everyone that I've spoken to, no one got regular tickets.
Yet there were still so many people standing in the line outside in the parking lot as the California summer heat bared down on them. Inside wasn't much better. The actual convention had no activities and was just a big ballroom hallway with a stage for creators. The VIP goodie bag only had stickers, a wristband, and a Tana condom for whatever reason. Tana came out on stage stage, said some stuff, and the influencers were rushed out ahead to fill time. Or at least some of them, because half these creators were also at VidCon at the same time. VIPs were disappointed to find out their meet and greets hadn't actually been confirmed, and they had to RSVP weeks earlier to actually get it down and done. But don't worry guys, Michael Weist is here, directing everyone around on a Segway. 3 hours in, and the health issues started to become apparent. The actual event was now full to capacity, meaning that everyone else had to wait outside, with no food or water organised for everyone. Even the hotel lobby had just one bathroom space. Pretty quickly, people started getting severe sunburn, because there was barely any shade in the parking lot. The lack of grass to sit down on meant they were getting very exhausted, some of them passing out. One girl was even seen crying and carried out on the stretcher because of injuries from the overcrowding inside.
This is the meet and greet check-in line. This is crazy.
Over there too.
What? So you end up right here, but you start way back here. I am lost for words. TanaCon just went
Bro,
crazy.
you start like even farther down there.
I didn't even see that. You start. Man.
At around 6 hours in, the security told Tana this was too risky. People started chanting refund outside and trashing the place, causing others to call the cops. The event was shut down and the crowd calmed. The same night this happened, Tana then went out partying, which is a very Marie Antoinette-esque move. She woke up the next day and apologized for how the event had gone. Her and Michael tried to find another, bigger place the next day, but they couldn't, and instead cancelled the whole event. Cue a wave of refunds. Whilst people were standing outside in the sun, Tana posted to her socials that she was shocked that 15 to 20,000 people had shown up, immediately emphasizing how they weren't prepared for 20,000 people. But a police report later stated this was around 5,000 people in reality. The ballroom itself could only hold around 1,000 people. TanaCon went down as a historic failure of the internet. Never in the audience's life had they seen a convention go so badly that people got hurt and pretty much nothing happened. Comparisons to Fire Festival and the like were all about the place. There was a genuine chance where someone could have gotten severely injured, either from the overcrowding in the hotel lobby or from severe sunburn and heat stroke from standing outside all day. So why did the event fail? Shane Dawson, slated to attend TanaCon and someone who was one of his biggest pulls, decided to make his own documentary looking into what happened. The entire thing is over-dramatized, and Shane tries to spin his own conspiracy that he'd never heard of Good Times. Maybe they wanted this event to fail so they could get clout. That's a nice idea for about 3 seconds until he realized, hey, I don't think anyone would want something like this on their resume. Shane was biased towards Tana, obviously, and presents Michael as this shady little figure. However, he does point out that TanaCon as an idea was born out of spite towards VidCon. In that sense, it certainly had a weak foundation. This thing was powered by a grudge match. Its existence was more of a priority than it actually being good. At a deeper look, TanaCon was an event destined for failure. The project was full of inexperience. Michael was 20, handling his first big project. Tana was 19, making her first convention. Veeps was the company doing the ticket system, and this was their first time doing it as well. And yet all these people gave themselves around 8 weeks to get this convention together, so it would be on the same days as VidCon. Even with the 8 weeks, it didn't really seem like anyone involved actually cared about the logistics. Leaked meeting audio from both Shane and Michael's documentaries shows an organizer wanting TanaCon to be a mosh pit, and Tana saying she wanted people to be oppressed outside. Even the whiteboard was still littered with general ideas and activities well into the process. Tana even went on vacation the week before TanaCon, which says it all really. One of the most pressing questions was the capacity, which includes 200 free tickets, 5,000 VIP tickets, and 5,000 featured creator tickets. So if they were planning to sell at most over 10,000 tickets, why didn't they get an event that could hold them all? Why was it held at such a small event? Was it really for the oppressed mosh pit element? Well, Tana says Michael told Marriott to lie to her about the event's capacity. Michael says the event was capped at around 3,000 people, even though just the ballroom was 1,000. If I had to guess, it was probably down to time. To hire a place for thousands of people on 8 weeks' notice sounds pretty difficult. Since TanaCon, Tana and Michael have gone their separate ways. Tana says that before the event, she had been warned that Michael was a scammer and a horrible person. Michael has even been accused of SA by 2 prior influencers, although that was later settled in a defamation lawsuit. In October 2018, Michael and Good Times Entertainment declared bankruptcy, saying they lost around $700,000 from TanaCon. Yet in 2020, Michael would start using the TanaCon trademark to sell merchandise that linked back to his other companies. As for Tana, TanaCon stayed hanging over her career, but has now generally disappeared in the background. In 2019, Hank Green, founder of VidCon, apologized to Tana for how they treated her. She was then reinstated as a featured creator. And thank God something like TanaCon never happened again. For about a month. FouseyTube is a man of many talents, you could say. He was once a prankster, a manipulator, an egotistical YouTube extraordinaire who deflected criticism in any way he could. In his early days, a lot of his YouTube prank videos were fake troglodyte entertainment, and his more serious social experiments were terribly acted and heavy-handed. The way he went about morality was blatantly just to make himself look like a good person.
It doesn't matter how much money you have, it doesn't matter what car you drive, it matters how humble you are in your heart, and you're not really humble saying all that. Dude, you need to humble yourself, man. Life isn't about money, bro. I'm not even freaking homeless. I don't care what kind of car you drive, I don't care if you have a black card.
In the end though, what killed Fousey's career was that he couldn't keep up with the times. 2017 saw YouTube become a pseudo-celebrity household, and no one really cared about prank videos. So when Fousey came back in 2018, he had a vision. Fousey's idea was for an event that would bring people together in harmony, and also somehow end racism. His idea was for this grand event where some of the biggest artists in the world were going to come out like mystery boxes. So essentially, it's like a loot crate version of Coachella. Fousey's event, named July 15th or Hate Dies Love Arrives, was there to change the world. The event was alarmingly advertised just by Fousey's delusions of grandeur, but the things he was promising were interesting. He said there was going to be some big names, namely Drake. Yes, Drake, at probably the height of his popularity in summer 2018, was gonna be there on July 15th. So July 15th rolls around, and the Hate Dies Love Arrives event begins. Fair enough, he got a place for it, because Fousey admits he didn't even have one until a few days before it started. So that's one up on TanaCon. Also, they had 50,000 people watching the livestream. They had sold 5,800 free tickets, but in reality, the audience turnout was disappointing. Only around 1,500 people really showed up, and those who stayed home didn't miss much. It seemed like people had learned from the TanaCon hellfire and decided that if this was going to be the same, they'd rather watch it than be the victims of it. So, did we get Drake? No, obviously not. Even Drake's team denied that Fousey had even met him. But you know who we did get? Let's get right into the news! Yeah, if anything, July 15th had probably more YouTubers than artists. Most of the event was just a stage with a DJ set, and unknown rappers like Lit Papi jumping around. Who is Lit Papi? I don't know, he seems like just some Mexican guy who Fousey wrapped into his circle. Whilst this was all going on, Fousey was getting ready in his hotel room, and that was kind of it for the next few hours. The most interesting thing to happen was its ending, when police swarmed the event.
At Greek Theater, it's not supposed to be that way though, it's actually supposed to be completely sold out for a show that was supposed to start at 6 o'clock, but never did. It's a YouTuber who I believe goes by the name of Fousey. So instead, what happened is some kind of generic threat, possibly a prank. There was some murmurs of possibly a suspicious package or something. So the Greek had to essentially be evacuated. We watched a bunch of frustrated people come out here leaving Griffith Park. But look at this. The YouTuber himself is actually on top of a car, and he's been talking to a bunch of his fans down here.
Someone had called in a bomb threat, and as a result, the entire event was evacuated. Fousey did not let this deter him, leading most of the audience to a nearby parking lot. There, he stood on top of a car and gave a motivational speech / mental breakdown. There was yelling, there was crying, there was screaming, there was rapping. If anything, it made Fousey look more like a Far Cry villain than ever, and any big YouTuber who saw this immediately said Fousey should seek help. The next day, Fousey dropped a diss track on Rice Gum, all because Rice Gum called him irrelevant in some random stream. Where did this all come from? How did this relate to July 15th, Hate Dies, Love Arrives? A diss track? I don't know. And that was the end of that. In the following month, Fousey would do a podcast tour trying to prove his event wasn't a failure, and although that 50,000 viewer number is pretty juicy, I'm not sure that undoes the event being shut down and the highlight being this speech. There was certainly a lot of discussion around July 15th, and whether this whole thing was just made to promote a song long after the era of YouTube diss tracks. The other theory was whether Fousey was even mentally there. He'd been off his meds for some time and surrounded by yes men. He even claimed the bomb threat itself was planned to be a part of the event.
July 15th was supposed to end in a bomb threat.
The meds aspect definitely makes sense when you consider how Fousey managed to drag Drake into this. His description of meeting him in a club sounds more like describing a dream. There were even videos coming up to the event where Fousey is outside Drake's house like some sort of psychopath.
Yo, Drake, I literally look like a crazy person right now because I'm outside of the place that you're at. Don't ask me how I found it, bruh. God put me here. I'm on God's plan right now. I'm walking in God's purpose. My stars aligned. I never thought I'd be at the place literally where Drake is right now. Where your dad is, who I know personally. I wasn't scared to send him a message to say, I want to speak to you, man. I have a message. I'm on a mission. I just need 30 seconds of your time, and I promise you'll understand. July 15th is going to change the world. I promise to have more eyes on this event than the president does on our country. And I need your energy for that to happen, excuse me.
At the very least, no one got hurt. People had sufficient food and water and shelter, probably because Fousey was working with an actual touring company who rented him the Greek theatre and actually had stuff down on lock. But I imagine it probably wasn't nice to have a SWAT team show up as the surprise artist, instead of Drake performing Energy.
Energy! Got a lot of energy! Got a lot of people trying to drain me of this energy, trying to take away from an Arab. Back in the car. Whoa. Okay, sorry.
So what was the goal of this whole thing? Was it really just so people would click on his new Ricegum diss track? Was it to get attention after no one turned up to his previous motivational speeches? Who knows for sure. If anything, July 15th signified to most people that Fousey was mentally unwell. Fousey would mostly retreat from his internet career, co-founding Happy Punch with Keemstar, and then turned around and went on the H3 podcast. That led to his 2023 Kick arc, but that story's probably for another time. Unlike the previous two conventions that were doused with a healthy helping of Hollywood hype, LightWave is something different. As you might guess from the name, it was intended as a far more artistic project for the online world. That intention is definitely evident from the channel of its creator, Glink, an introspective YouTube documentarian. Glink used to do commentary videos and probably paid close attention to both TanaCon and July 15th during this time. However, he later moved from YouTube commentary to having a far greater career doing videos about the current American culture. His work on the hollow, empty life of Los Angeles were really well received. So in 2022, when he decided to make his own artistic project, his fans saw this as a copy of the very sort of vapid culture he'd criticized. LightWave was born to be a concept of online art, a melting pot to combine together different parts of online culture. For Glink, this was the gathering of the main philosophers and engineers of the world today, and yes, he does say that. This was the public forum of the Roman Republic's times.
No. Well, first, let me tell you what it's not. This is not a corporate event. This is not a political event. We're not selling tickets. I'm not making money off this.
Uh-oh.
No one's really making money off this. The reason for this event is to fill a void that has been missing from our culture, from our society for a while. Modern day Rome, that's what we live in. Missing our public forum. We don't have a place where the intellectuals, the philosophers, the artists, where they can gather, share ideas in an unfettered.
The motivation behind LightWave itself confuses me to no end. It's meant to be this big philosophical discussion, but also inspired by YouTubers just hanging together after VidCon was cancelled because of the pandemic. At the same time, it's also an art museum rejecting the online world from a guy whose basis for fame was from the online world. Either way, LightWave was coming, whether you liked it or not. This gathering was going to have such speakers as Destiny, Rusty Cage, Coffeezilla, maybe Louis Rossman, and Boogie2988. The trailer also had Hassan, Ethan Klein, Anthony Fantano, and Anissa Jomha on screen, for some reason. Apart from the incessant skepticism the event immediately got, there were also a lot of questions on the planning behind it. The event was being held on June 26th, during which most YouTubers would already be out for VidCon, but it wasn't held in California, it was in Austin, Texas. This immediately confused people because who was going to turn up if everyone was in Anaheim at the time? Another issue is that the trailer didn't specify where it's going to be held. You couldn't find an address until you went to the description, typed in the Instagram handle because it wasn't linked, and then found it on the bio. For most viewers, they would have never seen the address. It was just somewhere in Austin, Texas. Day 1 of LightWave starts, with Glink streaming the entire event to his channel, and it wasn't long before the event became a sort of online laughingstock. The camera shots of those rows rows of empty white seats were painful and also incredibly funny. A movement is brewing my ass. The activities were set up, but there was no one to see it, and the seminars just glorified PowerPoint presentations about already discussed internet topics. The activities and performances were, well, there was a room with a chair, and the chair was in a totally white background, and below the chair was a video of someone's feet in water. Then they started putting in more chairs and dancers and people on skateboards and roller skates, and one dancer fell over in this shot. I don't know, man. I don't know. As for the guests, most of the people in the trailer weren't actually slated to show up. Both Rusty Cage and CoffeeZilla had pulled out ages ago. Boogie posted to Twitter clarifying he had no idea what LightWave was, and he had never been invited to it.
So somebody just asked me if I was going to be at LightWave ATX in Austin, Texas on June 28th. No, I, as far as I know, I was never invited. I've checked my email. I don't see a single email from them. They didn't arrange for me to be flown there or to have a room. I have no clue who's organizing this.
Glink later clarified that him saying Boogie was coming was just a joke, although it's clear people watching the trailer didn't see it as that. At least he had Destiny.
Disregard Destiny on this slide. He couldn't make it due to some personal
until he cancelled the day of the event, citing personal reasons. That might have been true, but he probably also saw how badly the event was going on the livestream and decided to skip out. That's at least how it seems from his messages on his livestream chat. Still, at least there were guests. You know, there was Ariel Pink, Negative XP was there, they had Ice Poseidon, who wasn't even invited, Lewis Rossman was there, that's always cool, and there was also this poor DJ who made a song specifically for this event and played it for 3 minutes to an audience of no one. At most during day one, around 20 people showed up. The live chat itself had around 100 people at its peak, and the majority of them just came in to call the event trash. This was the result of Glink's hard work over the last 3 months, and apparently he had spent $40,000 on this whole thing.
How much did you pay for the entire event, out of curiosity, if you don't mind?
The total cost was about half of this was like out of pocket slash credit and all that. I think it was around like 40,000.
Damn.
Yeah, it was a lot.
So you went into this not really expecting to recoup that, basically?
No, I mean, I did this as an investment in an idea.
Do you regret it at all?
No, this is great.
No?
This is the start of something. It's just going to take time.
Day 1 soon came to a close, yet we would never get Day 2. Apparently LightWave Day 2 wasn't streamed, and the records were just kept privately for a future documentary. It's now been over 3 years, and there's been no signs of this documentary anywhere. Following this convention, a lot of questions were being asked. Mainly, is this man okay? I'm not kidding either, because the people who saw this immediately clocked it as him being off his mind on drugs. This wasn't some unfounded rumor either. A lot of Glink's recent uploads were to do with drugs, and it made sense that after he got into this art world, he would go on some sort of psychedelic binge. Tell me, does this look like $40,000, or did half the money go up Glink's nose? Now, Glink denies just doping himself up on drugs, and there's nothing we have that contradicts this statement. As more details came out, the actual ideas for this event appeared to be more and more disconnected. Glink said he had been working on this event for 3 months, but 2 weeks before the event, he had literally nothing set up. One of the employees named Prox said that he had set up the PowerPoint slides the day before the event. Glink also had to keep the address hidden because he had controversial guests like Ariel Pink and Negative XP, artists who would attract online trolls. He was even hoping to premiere an Alex Jones documentary at his very event, and I don't know how that would have gone down. As for the guests we got, some of them straight up said they were paid to be there.
Talking about it is like, it's cheapening it.
Cool.
Of course, right. I'd rather be doing it.
All right, cool.
But I'm getting paid for this, at least.
Good for you. Yeah. Either way, I came to see you. I think you're cool, whatever. Yeah, whatever.
Lewis Rossman had been a maybe on the cards, and later said he only came because someone who gave $1 million to his non-profit was there and requested him to attend. And no matter what kind of mess the show was in, Lewis would take the stage to talk about right to repair. You gotta respect that, but I do feel kind of sorry for him because in some of these clips, it really just looks like he doesn't want to be here. In July of 2022, Mudahar of Some Ordinary Gamers made a video looking into LightWave further and uncovered some pretty interesting stuff. Apparently, LightWave was going to be an event for YouTuber friends only, and it was meant to be a birthday party for another YouTuber called the Kino Corner. In this idea, it wasn't just confined to one event, and was going to be more local, exploring the area. However, something changed along the line, and then it became LightWave. A website named futo.org was even associated with the event, but seeing how it was going, they decided to pull out. In the aftermath of LightWave, Glink continued to explain his event, and it became pretty clear how half-baked it was. That the idea is like a local event about the internet, but that erases most of the potential internet audience that he was going to talk to, right? I guess he was just not talking to the biggest amount of people he could talk to. Glink also wanted it to be a surprise event, despite the fact that it goes against any idea of what a conventional event like this is. And not in the ideological way, I mean literally. If people want to show up to events, they have to plan in advance, book things, know that it's happening and when it's happening, otherwise no one's going to hear the message, be part of the movement or whatever. It's the classic idea of if a tree falls in the woods and no one's around to hear it, did it really make a sound? At the end of the day, Glink still considered LightWave to be a success. I don't know about that one from what I'm seeing, but I do think he planned well with Destiny's cancellation. Apparently everyone who went there enjoyed it, according to what they said to Glink. I mean, obviously, they wouldn't go to this place where no one goes to this guy's event and tell him, well, it was shite. Might have been a little harsh, but honestly, if the bar has gotten so low to where at least no one got injured / had a mental breakdown is a success, that kind of tells you the levels we're at. Though these were the worst YouTuber conventions I could remember, I do want to be a little kind. Let me try and avoid the whole crabs in a bucket mentality here. I genuinely think these ideas had something behind them that could have made them a mainstay. As I said before, even hosting these conventions wasn't a bad idea. VidCon started off created by YouTubers. I can admire the creative ambition behind LightWave, and since then Glink has done similar art galleries that have been more successful. TanaCon itself was meant to be this competitor to VidCon, and managed to pull in too many people. If it had been organised by a professional, this might have given VidCon a genuine scare, and July 15th, yeah, there's no saving that one, I'm sorry. To be fair, Fousey set his goals pretty high when he said this was going to have the biggest music artists in the world, and it was going to end racism. It certainly did not have the biggest music artists in the world, and I don't think it ended racism. I'll have to check later on that one though. Regardless, what I'm trying to say is that these were not doomed ideas, and having your own event or convention is a brave but risky step for a number of reasons. This isn't just a YouTube video or a tweet you can take down. I was watching Ashley Norton's video on TanaCon as part of my research, and I think she made a fantastic point. With conventions in general, these people are traveling over to see your convention as part of a holiday. Sometimes they would be birthday or graduation gifts for some teen to see their favorite YouTuber. Their well-being, their day is in your hands. And in that way, all three of these events failed. TanaCon failed its audience, July 15th failed to be a convention, and LightWave failed to entertain. It's probably easy for me to sit at home and be a cock to all these people who tried, but as you grow up, you realize your ideas don't just manifest at once like a genie in a bottle. Sometimes you have to know your limits, and you certainly have to know what you are doing. Thank you for watching, and until next time, stay safe and stay toasty.